us about ecosystems for learning.
Okay, thanks very much. I had planned to do this in Swedish, but due to several in the audience being English speakers, so I'll do it in English. So you get two languages at the same time. Okay, my name's Alastair Creelman. I work in Kalmar at Linnéuniversitetet Library. I work with monitoring what's going on in e-learning, the whole field all over the world, and try to keep up with it and try to spread whatever I find through blogs, through social media, articles, and a lot of conferences. Also involved in many projects, especially European projects in the field. Going to talk quickly about several major trends. I'm not really going to land in the local or the regional or anything like that, but it has relevance for what goes on in the region. I want to propose a new ecosystem for learning and education. That's coming at the end. However, a little bit of introduction. Yes, is this student a campus student or a distance student? You don't know, do you? It doesn't matter either, because it's become irrelevant. Because with the potential of today's networks and the tools that are available for collaboration on the net, which involve real-time video, collaboration, working together, common documents, whiteboards, etc., you can have very, very good communication over the net, sometimes even better and even deeper than you can in a classroom. And I would like to suggest that today's campus students are working as much on the net as any distance students ever do. And the amount of time they have in the classroom is sometimes not really so much. So that basically the concepts of distance and campus are going together. This is either or. And a lot of people, especially the media, like to think of this as an either or situation. They often think that you know, is e-learning better than whatever real learning might be? Classroom learning, are e-books better or worse than real books? Let's stop talking about that. It's nothing to do with that. It doesn't make us any wiser. It's not a battle, it's not a contest. Both can be valid in the right situation. And yes, you might like paper books. That's great. Fine, I prefer digital. And digital books, digital arenas have other affordances, have other advantages. So let's try and put them together instead of seeing it as a battle. We have a movement in education from content to context. I would say context is king, not content. Content is everywhere. You can go out on your mobile and you can find content all over the place. You can find whatever subject you're interested in. You'll find articles, you'll find completely free lectures, you'll find exercises, tests. It's all out there. Help yourself. That's not as valuable as it used to be. You don't come to university to get content anymore. You can get that yourself. You come for the context. So for students, it's not about learning a pile of content, it's about putting it into practice. So this is a movement that is very clear, and the net is facilitating it. We're going from consumption to production. Students, teachers, everybody, very many people still see the net as a consumer product. I sit and consume. I just, it feeds me. More and more are beginning to produce. We're using the net for production. A lot of young people are not so good at producing yet. They're still consumers. They still expect to be fed. And that's the way they expect in education, in the classroom. They want the lecturer to give us the facts we need to pass the tests, instead of how can we produce this? How can we use the material and reform it and sort of come to our own conclusions? Why do we need to be spoon-fed? The roles of teacher and student are changing. I would say we're moving also from education as charter holidays, package holidays, where everything is served, everything's decided for you, you sit back and enjoy the ride, to training backpackers. Because that's what companies are needing more and more. They need people who are backpackers, not charter tourists, if you get the analogy. The key competences that all companies around the world in survey after survey are coming up with is they're not that interested. They're interested in your degree and what school you went to, but that's not the most important thing. It's these softer skills that are interesting. It's your ability to find information, to critically examine it and filter it, to work in networks, to work in teams, to solve problems, creativity. These are very hard to examine. And we also have to think of how do we examine and certify and validate soft skills? Because when you have your university degree, it doesn't say very much about this. And that's what the employers really want to know. The hard facts are okay, but that's what's very interesting. We can see that we're using today more and more arenas for learning. It's not just the classroom. The lecture hall is still there, and unfortunately it tends to dictate how we teach. You can't do anything else in a lecture hall than lecture, like this place. It's built for one-way communication. It's not built for dialogue. It's not built for creativity. It's not built for discussion at all. We can have more active classrooms, which are built for that, and that's what's coming. But we have an awful lot of extremely interesting environments on the net, where we can do everything and more. We can do things that you couldn't ever do in a face-to-face meeting, and there are no boundaries. You can be wherever you like and still take part. This means that we're seeing students creating their own personal learning networks using various types of online communities, networks, social media, and so on, to link together, to get information from each other, to collaborate and work together. And if you're not working like this, you should be, in a way. If you're as the future goes on, if you're only restricted to the colleagues you have at school, the colleagues you have in the nearest building, you're restricting yourself unnecessarily. You can have a global network. It takes a bit of time to build up, but it's for free, and it can help you through life and career. So that think of ways of building up your personal learning network. I'm doing some landings here, but I'm guessing you'll see where it's coming in a minute. Openness. I'll just click straight through them. You all know, I mean, open source, open data, open access of research material, open innovation, and now very much open educational resources. That is, that teachers and universities are making their material openly available on the net to anybody. No logins, no passwords, no restrictions. Put it out there, and also let others use it and reuse it with permission. Thousands of universities do so today. There is a mountain of stuff out there, but very little in Swedish, because open educational resources, strangely, has not really found a footing in Sweden, as one of the few countries where it hasn't. But there is some beginning to happen, but it's not a national policy or anything yet. But by putting that material out there, I don't know of any university that has suffered from that. Quite the reverse. Most universities who put all their teaching materials openly out on the net have benefited. They attract interest from the outside world, and they benefit lifelong learning. You'll get many examples. I can make these slides available however you like, so that people can click on the links. But MIT were first. OpenCourseWare came 2001. They put all their course material out there and said, help yourself. Content is not important. We provide context. So help yourself to the content. You can go in and learn what you like from their stuff. There are hundreds of other universities who do the same thing now. iTunes U is a massive repository of free lectures and course material in every subject you can think of, from over 1,000 universities. There's about 1.5 million lectures in there, totally free, download to your computer, mobile, whenever you like, from most countries in the world. Khan Academy, also mountains of material, one of the biggest education sites in the world. I want to move on. MOOCs. Out of that, many decided, why don't we put whole courses out there on the net and make them freely available and let anyone enter them without any pre-qualifications. They judge their own competence. And so we got massive open online courses, which have been really around for about 80 years now. They're not particularly new, but there's been an awful lot of hype. There's been an awful lot of sweeping generalizations. There's an awful lot of stories about it. I don't have time to go into that, but it's work in progress and it's moving still very, very fast. The idea with the MOOC is these are university level courses that are freely available. Maybe you've been on some of them. They can have tens of thousands of participants. Admittedly, many don't go all the way through the course, but that's not the point. People are curious. They try it out and they say, thanks, that's enough, and move on. And other people want to do the whole thing. Why people do a MOOC? The MOOCs provide lifelong learning. They give people a chance to get acquainted with a new area, a new field. It can be something that you do together with your work. And we find that the people who are doing MOOCs are not traditional university students 18, 22. They are they're people older, 25 plus, generally working at the same time. They're learning more about something. They're not so interested in getting credits for it. That's not the big thing. This is the knowledge they want. And they can network. They get a chance to work in a global environment and meet up with people from other places. Today there is a massive range of these. There are hundreds, thousands of courses out there. Universities have gathered into big consortia. Coursera is the biggest. There are 131 universities behind Coursera. In Sweden, Lund University are in the Coursera consortium. edX is another giant consortium, and then from Sweden, Karolinska and Chalmers are in edX. And then there are many others in many different languages. And today there's the French platform, FUN is gigantic, Myriada is enormous, Spain and Latin America. There's an Arabic platform, EDRAC, there's Chinese, there's Indian. It's growing. In Sweden, it's been rather a late start, unfortunately, only in the last 2 years. We've got a few universities who are already doing things. We have actually had the Swedish schools authorities, Skolverket, they provide teacher training, extra professional training for existing teachers in a MOOC format. They've done 2 or 3 courses in that. There are also very interesting courses that are really MOOCs but have been going a lot longer. Sommarmatte, Summer Maths, is a course that KTH started back in 2002 and is still going. And now there is Summer Physics and Summer Programming. And these courses are now open. And they're for students who are starting university and want to improve their high school maths, physics and programming before they get into university. And these courses attract thousands every summer. And they've just started recruiting for this summer. Our Swedish Higher Education Authority had a MOOC investigation that was published in January 2016, which suggests that Swedish universities should all be able to take part in this movement and offer MOOCs as part of their mission. There are lots of business ideas. Don't have time to go into too many of them, but what's happening with many of the sort of top-end MOOCs is that they're offering, the MOOC is free, but if you want tutoring, personal tutoring, you have to pay for it. That's an add-on. If you want validation and if you want examination, you have to pay. So it becomes a layered system, which is fair enough because these require an input. The course can be run for free, but you've got to get some kind of money. So that those are add-ons. There's franchising agreements where the one university produces a MOOC and lets another university run the whole MOOC with their teachers, but the whole buy it as course material. Some are using it for headhunting. Companies are buying the student data to find out who are the best students and we can offer them jobs. The students have to opt into that, by the way. They can't, it's not done behind their backs. A lot of MOOCs are being used in corporate training. There's also the idea of, you've seen the movie Now Do the MOOC. There's been cases where people have, one guy did a TV documentary series about about John F. Kennedy's political career and then decided to run a MOOC on it based on the TV series. There are many possibilities. The big key to MOOCs is that it needs support. The problem at the moment is that the people who are doing MOOCs are people who are already IT savvy, they are very digitally aware, and they already have university degrees. So the people who really need the MOOCs most don't even know they exist. So how do we get that out to the people who have not been able to go to university? Well, we need it's new groups, and they're not used to studying online. They need support during the course. Can we provide that locally? Can local operators, can local universities, colleges, schools, why not libraries and adult education organizations provide local start sort of study groups locally to help people use these MOOCs properly and get the most out of them and be able to stay on the course? So that study groups and, as I said, libraries, learning centres and so on are key actors. If that can be brought into focus, then I think more people can be reached by MOOCs, because I think a lot of people would benefit from them, but they need support. They need someone in a way to hold their hand physically in the beginning to get them going. At the moment, they're only reaching the already converted. Another aspect is we learn a lot from things like MOOCs outside the classroom, but we can't prove it. And here validation comes in, and I think validation is a massive potential industry for the future. We have lots and lots of areas that we could use, that we need validation for. MOOCs are providing certificates at the moment as a pay service, as I mentioned. But now there's a trend where MOOCs are being used to provide real university credits, where you have to come to a university of your choice and sit in the exam hall and take the examination under the usual forms, and if you pass that, you get real credits. And that could be that's often, you have to pay for that in most countries, and you would have to find some way of financing it in Sweden as well. But that's coming very strongly. But also online examination. There are new technologies available that make online examination and proctoring as safe as a traditional exam hall exam. Maybe safer. There are also new forms of examinations and qualifications. Some of the MOOC operators, Udacity, offer a concept called nano degrees, a number of very, very specific short courses developed with industry and together with industry, producing a new micro qualification. Now that's not the same as a university degree, but if employers begin to accept that, if they think, that's good, we'll accept that, we like that, we approve it, then it's hard currency. Whatever the universities may say, there are links to similar schemes on the slide. Competency-based degrees is a very growing phenomenon now in the States, and it works in the way that you, with a competency-based degree, you're working not to a syllabus of fixed lectures and content. You're actually working to a number of learning outcomes and validation system for that, and examinations. So if you look at the first set of learning outcomes and the first set of criteria, and you think, I know all that, then the university says, okay, here's the exam test. Go straight to that, where you don't have to sit listening to all of our lectures and going through the course material, because if you already know it, just take the exam, we'll give you the credits. And this way, also by validating the competence they have from their work, you might find that some employees, we can give them half of their masters like that. You've already got it. Maybe the next half or the next quarter of the masters is something that they just have to take the tests and prove that they know it. And then they only have to do maybe the final task to get their full masters. That means a fast track to qualifications, but it's not a cheap way and it's not a shortcut. The same criteria are there, but they're just new ways of doing it. If you have the skills, you get the credits. Or if you can prove you've got the skills, you don't have to sit a whole term at college to go through all that. It seems rather silly. And I think more flexibility is coming there. Many are working with things called open badges, a little bit like we often have the Scouts as an example of that. It's from the gaming business and the open source computing, where you get badges if you show yourself to be one of the top performers. And in many in the programming field, if you have a badge from an open source community, that's almost as good or better than having a university degree, because your peers have valued you as they really value you, and they've given you a credential. Can we offer the open badges system as an open source solution? And it means that you get digital certificates, and you can award them for soft competences, for soft skills. So you could give somebody, Linnaeus University could give a digital badge to you for showing excellence in teamwork. We'd have to then link from the badge to our criteria, why we have given you that, exactly what you've had to do to get that, who has given you that badge, contact with that person if somebody would doubt that you have deserved it. It has to be fully transparent. But maybe we can offer as micro-credentials below degree level a number of badges to show these skills that employers really want. And this is growing around the world. I'm keeping my eye on the clock here. So finally, or nearly finally, a little bit about the new oil. And you know what the new oil is? Data. Yes. Why do you think Google is free? They want your clicks. They are drilling for oil. Oh, clicks are oil. Clicks are worth a lot. The trouble is, up till now, we haven't been able to refine the raw oil, the crude oil. Now we can. Now we can start refining it and doing things with it. But that raw data has been wasted all these years, and now everybody wants a bit of it. And in education, this is being used for learning analytics, which has been on all of the trend analysis reports of the last sort of 5 years have said this is the next big thing. We're still it's not quite there yet, but it's the next big thing. It's every year it's been the next big thing, but it is coming. The idea with learning analytics is that the big players, Googles and so on, they can analyze your personal data. They can see the patterns in your performance on the net. They can see how you search, how you write, what you've produced. They can see all these patterns and analyze them. By doing that, if we do that with our students, we can identify their needs before they know them. We can see what they need help with. We can actually assess their work behind their back in a way by seeing how they work on the net, how they search, how they sift, and so on. We can produce very much we have the potential through this to produce individualized learning, totally personalized learning, and that's impossible otherwise. It's a very powerful tool. We can actually anticipate students who are having difficulties or in danger of dropping out the course, because their behavior on the net will change. The way they interact with the course material, will see that they're getting stuck, they're giving up, they're leaving. And we can get in there before they actually make that decision, I've had enough. We can maybe help them. There are many, many ways that learning analytics can totally change learning. And there's an awful lot. If you just Google learning analytics, you'll get tons. So, here we go. A new ecosystem for learning. And this is my idea or my view, but it's backed up by lots of other people. What I can see happening is that here we have, if you think of a sort of stack, it's layers here. At the bottom layer, you've got resources. In other words, learning resources. And they can be open or they can be closed, but you have an absolute ocean of them out there. It's all free. So all of this is free, and some people, if you've got the study skills, if you are, if you're self-sufficient enough, you can just dive in there and learn anything you like. But you've got to have the discipline, you've got to have the study skills. So some people want some kind of framework. So that's where the next layer comes in. Some actors, like universities, but many others, will provide courses. They might call them MOOCs, they might not. Or self-study programs. That puts this material in a context and in a framework that's easier to digest. And those are already there, and most of them are free, but some of them cost money. It depends on the context, but most of them are free. So many people can learn a lot by going on the courses and learning from the free material. The next layer is where you get tutoring, you get feedback, you get a community. And here it's either a fee. I think most of the time that's going to cost money because that's qualified support. And it could be free or it could have a fee. At the top, we've got validation and examination, and that's always going to cost money because that's a process. Even in Sweden, somebody has to pay it. It's the government, but it's going to cost money. Now, along with that, at the side, we've got search services, we've got quality criteria and quality assurance. In the past, all of that has been provided one-stop shopping from a university. But what's happening now, and it is happening now, there are other actors here at the same time. So that you could go on somebody's open course, but purchase support from somebody else, and then go to a third party for validation and examination. There are institutions now who are only working with validation and examination. They don't have students, they don't have courses, they just do the top layer, and they make money out of that. You can get a degree from them by proving that you've done everything, and you've done it at different institutions over the years. And then you can go to them, put it all together, get it validated, and get real credentials. That's already happening. Not in Sweden, but outside. And that's what I mean by an ecosystem. It's changing all the time, but I think we're going to see a much more complex system with more qualifications, micro-credentials, whatever you want to call them. It's going to get more complicated. And validation is the key in all of this. So that's the story.
And a very interesting one as well. Thank you.